Let's talk about the game first. 5-2 loss for the Griffins. I mean, coming off that big weekend against Texas too, how much of a step back did tonight feel?
Honestly, I thought we played well. It was unfortunate coming in the locker room after the first and down 2-0, but I thought we played well overall. We turned the tides there in the second, made it 2-2, and then they got one late in the second. But I thought we controlled the play for the most part. They got a couple rush goals, one on the power play, one on the penalty shot, but I thought overall we controlled the play. It's unfortunate, but we just got to find ways to win.
You yourself did get back on the goal scoring side tonight, jamming one in there. Kind of take us through what happened on that goal.
Yeah, I think it was just the culmination of a good shift. Me, Sodes, and Cross I thought we played well. When we were cycling the puck tonight, and that's what we were doing on that shift. We were kind of changing sides, getting out to the point. Albert, saw me at the net front and put a good puck there behind the net. Cross was on the near post, and he took the D for me, so I could kind of get out the weak side and just tried to get in the air and kind of snuck under his arm there.
I'm talking about playing with Soderblom and Hanas, and I mean Hanas obviously been a great big scorer for the Griffins so far this year. Obviously, there's a good healthy mix of veterans and leadership on this team, along with a lot of young guys. How have you guys been trying to kind of help the rookies acclimate to pro hockey?
I think just talking to them every day, talking to them on the bench, letting them share what they're thinking as well, instead of talking at them, kind of just having conversations with them, whether it's about hockey or not. It's obviously a big adjustment coming to pro hockey. Hasn't been the easiest year for everybody. I know both those guys have had injuries, and it's fun to play with them. They both have a lot of skill. Obviously, Sodes is huge and can protect the puck, and he has great hands as well. And Cross makes a lot happen when he's out there. I like playing with both of them. I thought we had a strong game, and hopefully we can roll that into Friday night. But I think that's what this league's all about, is just having some older guys and a mix of young guys that are able to step in and contribute, which they've done.
Good for me.
Next up is Patrick Williams from the AHL.com.
Yes, Kyle. You mentioned not talking at players, young players. I guess 2 points to that. How do you do that? And what can you learn and other veterans learn from younger players?
I think the best thing is just asking them questions instead of, telling them what was there, kind of asking them what they were seeing on the ice or what they're feeling. I think, then it gives them a chance to talk and speak up and speak their mind and speak freely. And I think for me, just on a personal standpoint, that's always been the easiest thing is letting other people kind of share what's in their mind, and then giving my 2 cents, especially for younger guys. And I think, what was your second question? Sorry.
Just, what can, veteran players like yourself learn from younger guys?
A lot, honestly. I think the young guys now come up with so much skill, and they're taught the game differently than it was, 10 years ago. And I'm 9 years older than Cross. I'm sure I don't know how old Sodes is, probably 9 years older than him. And I think just the way that they think the game, I think it can help me as well. Obviously, when you play in the AHL, there's a bit of a grind. You can't always make plays, but when we're talking on the bench and I'm hearing what they can see, I think it adds to my game as well, which is it's fun. They play a fun brand of hockey, and I'm all for it. And just making smart plays when we need to, and once we get in the O zone, kind of just being creative.
And just how close is this team to kind of turning the corner? In other words, converting well played games into wins.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think right now we're at the breaking point of the season where they've got to turn into wins, these close games. Mm-hmm. I think we've played well, especially the last 5 to 7 games, I'd say. And we got it's a results business. Everybody's jobs are on the line. There's a lot of guys that their career depends on winning hockey games, and I think it's important. And I think that's another part of being a young player, is knowing how to show up every night. And if you don't have it, at least chipping in some way, whether it's defensively or what have you on a special teams unit. And I think that's what we have to do right now is find ways to win. Whether it's winning tonight 6-5 or winning 1-0. I think it's crunch time for sure.
Thanks.
Next up, Elaine Shercliffe from Full Press Hockey.
Just going back to your goal really quick, does going behind the net, do you feel like it gives you a little bit better of a vantage point about what the goaltender might do?
Yeah, I think there's two parts of it. I think you can kind of lose your defender as well when you get behind the net. I think the biggest thing of that play was I think Sods was high, so it brought one of the other defenders there, and it was kind of a 2-on-1 with Cross 9. Their other D was maybe in the slot there. So I think having a little bit more space, and I think the biggest thing is just getting out the weak side if the puck comes down. That's the toughest thing for the goalie. He has to switch posts and isn't sure what's on the backside, so he's thinking about that as well. I think we can do more of that, switching sides behind the net, and even if it's not right to the net, but just finding guys in the slot.
Yeah. And then with 5:30 left in the second, you guys were leading the shot count in that period 10-1. Normally people look at that and say like, oh, the defense was on fire, which they were, but it was also because of the offense and how you guys were able to keep momentum. Can you kind of, explain the relationship that the D and the forward pool has to have to be able to make that happen?
Sure. Yeah, I think we were winning a lot of faceoffs in the second period, which helped us play with the puck a lot. And when we were playing in the O-zone, I think those the defending team, the Wild there were tired by the time they got the puck, so all they could do was chip it out. And our D were doing a good job of kind of transitioning quickly and getting it back into the offensive zone. So we didn't spend a lot of time in the D zone. But yeah, I think it relies a lot on our D getting back on pucks when they chip it out, and also winning faceoffs, having good line changes, and being fresh. I think we were fresher than they were in the second period, and we were able to stay in the O-zone as much as possible. And I think when they did get the puck, they were pretty tired. So that was that was a big difference of the first part there, the second.
Yeah. And then what are you taking from tonight's game and bringing it towards Friday, since you play them again Friday, so you have a little bit of time to think about it and practice on what maybe you guys could do better?
Sure. I think we played on the perimeter too much in the O-zone. I think we could have taken more pucks than that. It's a bit of the way they play. I think they give you the outside, so it seems like it's open, but we got to find ways to get to the net, whether it's tips on shots or just taking to the net from below the goal line. But I think a lot of our shots came from the outside early. We tried to get more bodies to the net towards the end of the game there, but it was too little too late. And then just in terms of the game itself, I don't think we're taking any moral victories at this point of the year. It's it's crunch time, like I said, so we got to win.
Perfect. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Chase, let's start off. Obviously, a tough loss for the team here, a 5-2 loss. What was your take on the game from your end?
I thought we did a lot of good things. Overall, at some points, we weren't connected, and they capitalized on some of their chances. I think we spent the majority of the game in their zone, 5-on-5, so we can build off that. But at the end of the day, they scored 5, we scored 2. So
You get your first goal of the season, though, and a kind of a wild play there. Take us through how everything went together there on that shorthanded goal.
yeah, I just got off the bench, saw that Ned was upping the puck, and their D kind of fumbled it a little bit and just jumped by him. So I jumped off the bench, went around, and just took it to the net, and it worked out for me. So
Obviously, it was a big goal that made it 2-2. But you yourself, you've been in quite an interesting position. Obviously in the American League, guys go up and down the ECHL and whatnot. You yourself, though, you've stayed here, but you've gone up and down the lineup here. Talk about the challenge of trying to quickly adjust and play with new line mates just about every other game.
yeah, I mean, that's part of this league, part of any league, right? You have to be able to adapt to whatever the coach throws at you, right? And sometimes that's playing with different guys. And I think, for me personally, I feel like at times I can play with some skilled guys if I need to, or I can play in the fourth line. I'd like to think that's an asset to my game, but yeah.
And then, we just talked with Kyle Criscuolo, and then, there's guys like him, Camper, Lashoff on this team, but also the rookies as well. You're that happy medium right in between the old guys and the young guys here. How have you seen everyone kind of mesh together here and kind of become one big group?
Yeah, I think the older guys have done a really good job to bring some of the young guys along. Obviously, there's a lot of learning to do. I went through it. Everyone goes through it as they turn pro. But, I think that happy medium, we got a few guys around my age too. So it works out. I think we got a good group of guys, and everyone kind of gels pretty well together.
you do have a day off before you take on the Wild again Friday. What are some things that you think the team's going to try to work on here to try to get a split here in this back-to-back?
Yeah, I think again, like I said, we have to be a little bit more connected. I think a lot of times we're not really on the same page as some plays, right? And then that's something that we can control. So that's something I personally think we need to do, and we'll be just fine Friday.
It's good for me.
Next up is Patrick Williams from the AHL.com.
Yeah, Chase, I was talking with Kyle, and, you thought the team played pretty well, but how do you convert a game where you play well into actual wins? I mean, how do you make that turn?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes somebody just got to will yourself to do it. Like I said, I think at points we weren't connected. That's a big part of the game, right? Knowing your systems, and I'm to blame partly for that too. Just as a lot of the guys in the room are probably at the same level as I am as far as that. But at the end of the day, this is a tough league, and you have to find ways to win, and we have to start doing that here as we get into the mid stretch of the season.
And how close is this team to really turning the corner and stringing together a few wins?
I think we're right there. I think last week you saw glimpses of it against the Stars and Cleveland, right? I thought we played really well last week, and to do that consistently is tough. But we're going to have to find a way to do it if we want to stay in the standings race to fight for a playoff spot.
Thanks.
And next up, Elaine Shercliffe from Full Press Hockey.
So in that second period, you guys were really strong offensively. With 5:30 to go, you guys were holding them 10-1 shots, but it wasn't just because of defense; it was because of the offense as well. So can you kind of speak to what was working in that second period to give you guys that offensive power?
Probably cliche. I felt like we got pucks behind their defensemen and got on the body and caused them to turn it over. And when you do that consistently, a lot of times it creates space in the offensive zone. I found that we did that pretty well, as the shots indicated, right? We were in their zone for most of the period. So, I think if we do that again, we're going to be fine.
Yeah. Now, I'm just circling back a little bit to your goal. When you're shorthanded and you see your goaltender go that far out of the net, were you thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on? Or were you just so focused on your line change and hunting down that puck?
I know Ned likes to play it, so when I see him get it, and I think he saw our forward going to the bench, so he probably knew someone was coming off. It was a great play by him, but when I saw him come out of his net, I just kind of waited a second and then figured out where the puck was going to be, and it went in the O zone. Fortunately for me, I was able to get on it first.
Yeah. Now, moving forward, not just for Friday, but what is it that you guys need to do to get that full 60 minutes in? Like Coach Simon has said to us all season, like the best way for you guys to be successful is to have that 60 minutes of just solid play.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably reiterate that, right? It's consistency. We need everybody in our lineup to play the way that they can. And if we do that, we're a really good hockey team. And I think, on paper, you can see that we have guys that can produce. We have guys that can play certain roles, and we need everybody to do that, play their role, and I think we'll be fine.
Thank you. That's all for me.